set out for Stalwart. The White March rises up in the distance, stretching to the north and south as far as the eye can see. It beckons to you with peaks like broken fingers. The road thins to a tattered ribbon, and the shadow of the mountains falls across your path. You've barely begun your climb when the darkening sky pummels you with hailstones and turns the ground beneath you to ice. You press on. The air grows thin, and the treacherous mountain passes funnel screeching winds past your ears. A blizzard forces you to make camp for 3 days, huddling for safety while snow piles around your refuge. At last the weather clears, and you approach Stalwart under a crisp blue sky. There's a noise, high and sharp, coming from the village that sounds at first like another frozen gale. But when you top the rise and reach the village's wooden gates, you see what lies beyond them.
It's Darzier, with a whole pack of them!
We can take these bastards!
Certainly.
Fallen. Fight harder.
Your thoughts must look. My mind feels sharp as steel.
Darzir's fallen. Back to the matron now. lady's house is burning! Hurry! They're both in there! Help! The hut's coming down! You did it! You saved them both!
Yes. Certainly.
They've destroyed the stockade, Mother. It's...
Enough. They're gone. Ah, the champion of Defiance Bay. Must have been a long journey. Well, I'm sure you wagered on a more civilized welcome. Still, we're much obliged for your capable intervention. Then perhaps you can help us find something. Stalwart isn't much more than a grease stain on a map. What roads we've got in the White March are basically tracks in the snow. And for every trader or adventurer that comes through, 3 of our own leave for good. But it weren't always so. There was a time when kings and queens sent their firstborn to these mountains, when the White March was the envy of empires. The Pargrin dwarves transformed the White March once. We could bring some of that greatness back to Stalwart, but we need the White Forge. Then you'll know that no one's felt as much as a summery breeze from the White Forge for over 200 years. I'm hoping you can do something about that. We've been trying to breach Durgan's battery for over a year now. Problem is, the other expeditions can't so much as dent the front door. A dozen different groups have come through at our request, and several more besides. Been hoping that one of them could clear the way through Durgan's battery. But young or old, green or seasoned, it don't seem to matter. They cast their spells, chisel at the door, and search the grounds until they've worn new treads into the old stone. The lucky ones eventually go home. Plenty more find themselves on the wrong side of a blizzard, or an ogre raiding party. We're an old mining town. Or we were until the Adirans pulled out and left us with a half-dug mine shaft and something resembling an inn. Since then, it's been a steady decline. You've seen the roads. Isn't much we can produce that the Valians can't ship cheaper. But the White Forge, well, if we could fire it up again and start producing Durgan steel, or something close to it, wouldn't matter if we're in the White March or the Living Lands, business would come. That's the long and short of it. We're laborers and fisherfolk, not adventurers. But Durgan steel could put Stalwart on the map again, open up the mines, bring in new business. We just need the White Forge. Because you can shave stone with it, cleave cast iron in two, and the stuff's as rare as it is remarkable. If we could make something even half as good, we'd have a market at our doorstep and work enough for all of Stalwart. Where should I start? Ogres, blizzards, or sheer damned inaccessibility? It ain't for lack of trying, I'll tell you that much. Got untold riches in Durgan steel lying just inside, and never mind the White Forge itself. The Adirans who first settled Stalwart tried to crack it. So did the Valians, and every other cocky adventurer with more metal than sense. But the place has a funny way of sealing itself up. Front door stays shut, the tower entrances are clogged with rubble, and it's been impossible to blast a way in. It don't bear dwelling on. There's too many superstitions about that place as it is.
Killed each other off, or so the old books say.
Plenty of tales to go around, but none of them open the battery. And the last thing people need is another reason to fear the place. Whatever it was, the other Pargrin dwarven settlements in the White March, Bone Picker, the Hawk, and the rest, emptied out not long after, moved to gentler, greener lands.
Had the right idea, if you ask me. Finally, someone talking sense.
Durgan steel wasn't just good. It was some of the best. We need the best if we're going to keep Stalwart alive. No one alive today has seen the White Forge, but the old stories tell that it was powerful, glowed white-hot, and gave off a steady, even heat, unlike any other furnace. Let better-schooled folk puzzle over how the thing was built. I just want to see it put to use. Pargrin's a word in their language. Means traveler. They've been wanderers for generations, but I couldn't tell you much more. The battery's up the mountain to the north. A good hike away.
Near Galvino's place, huh?
So it is. Though I was going to suggest dealing with that ogre camp before anything. Mestre Galvino, as the old crosspatch prefers it, lives by himself and keeps the wilder and beasts at bay through sheer foulness of his temper.
She means to say he's a skilled smith and animancer, who's lived in the shadow of Durgan's battery for over a decade.
And he butters his bread on both sides and fits his left shoe before his right. But that's neither here nor there. Me and the rest of the town. He knows better than to linger at our gates. Old lunatic finally went too far, and we sent word to the Valiant academies. I don't like speaking on it, but if you want to get his guff, just remind him that we gave him the boot.
Ain't nobody here fond of the man, but he's a clever hand and a quick study. It's a fool who thinks he stayed so close to the battery without figuring something about it.
You said as much to the last party, and we haven't seen hide nor hair of him since. Maybe they didn't run afoul of Baragon's ogres after all. Just watch your step. Galvino's place is a ways east of the battery, and folk who pass it bring unsettling tales. Belongs to Flames That Whisper, Matron Baragon's clan. Hunters tell me they've been active of late.
Hunting elk and otherwise minding their own damn business.
Minding their own business. Never mind the latest expedition's disappearance, or the broken stockade.
I'm saying we shouldn't agitate them further.
The brawl outside was just the latest patch of trouble. The ogre clans are getting bolder, and we'll all sleep easier knowing they aren't circling our walls. Also, Baragons like to have whatever the last expedition found. Rumor has it they disappeared near her turf.
Killing a matron will only make our problems worse. The way to approach Baragon is with your hands held high.
If anyone could parley with an ogre, I suppose it'd be you. But they aren't known for their patience with prattle. Good. Before you leave town, stop by the Grave's Rest. Most visitors to Stalwart spend some time there, so Hafric and his patrons may be able to give you the lay of the land. What's on your mind? The Pargrin dwarves guarded it like a mother bear. It's a wonder we know as much as we do. What's on your mind? Adir founded us back in their colonial days to supply ore to the Empire. Saw a fair bit of traffic from both sides of the White March then. But after the Deerwood claimed independence, Defiance Bay found cheaper places to get ore. Didn't have much reason to maintain our supply routes. Officially. Though with the state the roads are in, you wouldn't guess it. Here in the center? Let's see. The Grave's Rest is next door. Hafric can set you up with a room and a hot meal there. The fishery's just on the edge of the lake, and the Temple of Andra is next to it. No one keeps a secret like Lavda, or so I'm told. A few folk live in this part of town, too. Seemed a lot safer before the ogres broke through the western gate. Thiersch lives next to the old mine shaft, and Tana, the old mine overseer, is next door to me. I'm the mayor, or so I'm reminded every time there's a game shortage, ogre attack, or a neighborly dispute. I'm a builder by trade, though. Traveled all over Air Glonfoth and the Deerwood in my younger days, but ended up back here anyway. What's on your mind? They didn't volunteer much, and I knew better than to ask. I've seen all types charging through here. Professional companies with shiny new equipment as brazen as you please, and hopeless runts with nothing but tattered leathers. But these folk, I don't know what they were after, and the way they looked at you made you feel cold all over. Wish I could tell you more. What's on your mind?
Yes.
Something else you need? It's a fool's hope. A fantasy that's kept these parts inhabited longer than they should be. They say the Pargrunan dwarves developed Durgan steel, became powerful, rich. And then one day, they locked their doors and died. Nothing like a mystery to stir folk up. Most of Stalwart is convinced that some Pargrin secret will save us all. But that don't stop them from whispering a prayer when they pass the old fortress. About the only thing folk here haven't tried. Killing one more matron won't change things for long. Besides, her clan's flames that whisper. The one that attacked us was Wolf with many mouths. I'd know him anywhere.
They're cut from the same cloth, Aldrich. Only a matter of time before Baragon marches through that gap in our walls.
Mother's convinced that a magic forge will turn this frozen crack into a hub of civilization. She can't accept this place is dying. Me, I'd just as soon move on. I'm a carpenter, Mother's a builder, so it felt like a good fit at the time. Not that we've got a lot of new folk to build houses and furnishings for. These days, I spend most of my time fixing up the stockade.
This place feels hollow. More memory than substance.
Been looking everywhere for you.
always thirsty work. Say, you're the one we have to thank for fighting off the ogres, right? Never thought I'd see one of the God-touched. I would have helped fight them monsters off, you know, if I didn't think I'd just get in the way. And with you there to handle things, everything turned out well enough, didn't it? Don't see why Havrick's still sour at me. Oh, Havrick's the innkeeper over at the Grave's Rest. I may have been hiding in the inn when the fighting started. The raid didn't improve his disposition any. Did you know he has a whole case of Fenland liquor in there? I keep offering to buy it off him, but he says he's saving it up for when the battery's open again. As if we're gonna last that long. Anyhow, he said he'd thrash me up and down the mountain if I didn't leave him be. It's delusional is what it is. Point of fact, what with you dealing with ogres and everything, maybe you'd, you know, be willing to help me out. Havrick keeps all the good stock in the inn cellar. Out of sight, you see. I mean, it's bound to be under lock and key, but I'm sure he wouldn't miss a single bottle. Not with everything that's going on. Well, Havrick can be a little intimidating when it comes to his beverages. But otherwise, not much, I guess. I'll pay you for it. I swear it. We'll split my wages. And the bottle, too, if you like. I just want to be able to say these lips have tasted the best the Ishamael Plains have to offer. Nothing so kind. You try living here a few years and see how you turn out.
Yes. Certainly.
If it's okay, I'm gonna wait by that fire there while you do that thing with the battery.
Owena! Go check on that Orland. Make sure he don't steal nothing. Never seen such a bloodbath. Feels like we got half the town's survivors in here, just drinking to forget it. But you must be looking for some refreshment, too, after the way you handled them ogres. Or perhaps a room. Say the word, and I'll give that shifty little Orland the boot.
So she took a piece into
Showed up a few days ago, sticks his nose out of the back room just long enough to empty his chamber pot. Up to no good, I tell you. I'd like nothing more than to see him gone, but I don't want a ruckus over it. We get our share of lowlifes coming through here. Smugglers, fugitives, kith looking to avoid the sharp eye of the law. Way he's keeping to himself, well, honest kith sure don't have cause for it. I'd appreciate it. And I suppose I don't need to remind you that I don't want you to hurt him. I'm sure you can find a more discreet way of handling the problem. Back to warm your hands, eh? What can I do for you? He did he? That shifty little crook never learns. I'll have it put away somewhere safe. Thank you for doing the decent thing. Here, for your honesty.
Oh?
The sea beheld her love, shining bright from on high. She bade him come down from his palace in the sky. Their love could not be saved, so she took a piece into her heart. And oh, sigh grief that day, sleep in her bosom.
Oh?
Ooh, still can't feel my fingers. Thought I'd found shelter when I stumbled across this little village. Guessing you did too, huh? As much blood as there was in the streets, I'm lucky the ale's still flowing. Thought all the whispers about Durgan's battery were just village superstition. And maybe they are, but I might have been on my guard if I'd listened. I was part of an expedition, hunting for relics from Durgan's battery. And picked up a good haul, too. So it figures that's when the winds pick up and the sky starts dumping snow. We lost sight of the road. Meanwhile, something else found us. Took Liam out before we even realized we were surrounded. And then we see him coming out of the snow. These little four-armed wilder. Lagufoth, they're called. Quick little bastards. Francesca and I held them off as long as we could, but when they filled her full of darts, I turned tail and ran. Found my way here and thanked my luck for escaping the Lagufoth. Then come to find out that this town's got an ogre problem. I need to get those artifacts. Not that I'm in any shape to go after them myself, but I can't afford to return to Defiance Bay without something to show for my expedition. But you've got your own expedition to the battery, don't you? While you're out there, maybe you could look for my goods, whatever's left of them. I'll give you a cut for anything you bring back, of course. I ain't asking for charity. I just can't afford to go home empty-handed. Like I said, we were treasure hunting near Durgan's Battery when we were ambushed. What else do you want to know? Who? No, that would have been somebody else. We didn't meet with Renengild, or anyone else in town for that matter. We were operating on our own. We took out several loans to pay for our trip out here. I'm gonna have trouble if I don't pay them back. What's left of it should be near Durgan's Battery. If you stumble across the Laguvoth, you'll know you're close. Just that it's been locked up tight for 200 years on account of those dwarves having a row. Which means that any trinkets from inside fetch a nice price. Sorry, I'm more of a businesswoman than a historian.
Shining bright from she bathed in from his palace the sky. Her love could not be slain. So
Excuse me, was there something you need?
Not to be rude, but I'm rather busy. Can't you get another room? What? Oh, no. No. Is she there? Did you see her? Devala. That woman. The slaver, she... I was a slave in Raid Saris. I ran away. Made it here. The mountains are usually the best place to lose slavers, but Devala's one of the best. I just want to get out of here. I've scraped together enough money to reach New Haelmar. But the locals talk about a Raid Saren party camped west of town. It's got to be Devala. She's been after me since the foothills. I'll pay you if you can get rid of her. I don't care how. Thank you. But be careful. She wouldn't have come alone.
Oh?
Fresh fish, freshly caught. Fresh fish! Effigy's eyes! It looks... Ah!
must forgive, Zawa. I was not expecting you. Resting my eyes, I thought, waiting for the Malkachoa to bring me insight. It would seem I dozed. Good thing my master was not alive to see it. Are you real? We shall let the matter rest for now, then. Until the Malkachoa wears off. A small white mushroom. I have heard it called snowcap in these lands. It can reveal the true nature of many things. A teacher, not an owner. Zawa is a free man. Well, as free as any of us. I was freeing myself from vanity. Consider, how can one be vain who is bathed in the smell of dead fish? I had the idea when I passed this way earlier. I am pleased with the results so far. Yes, quite pleased. Gods, no. What a way to travel the world. The usual way is to smear yourself with the ashes of the dead. But they do not burn their dead here, so I have to make do with what the land provides. The cold seems to conquer the smell. Even now, the scent hides itself. Disappointing. From battle, yes. I left them upon my enemies. These were struck against fear. These against pleasure. These against hatred. Those down there against greed and doubt. And these were for vanity. I cannot take credit for all of them, but I did most of the good ones. I put them there in battle to remind myself what is real and what is not. Our worst enemies are inventions of the mind, pleasure, fear. When we see them for what they are, we become unstoppable. I feel I have been close, but never for more than an instant. In the moment when the pain is sharpest, the world becomes clear. In that moment, I am a match for anyone. Of course, I am fortunate to have suffered so much. If I did not suffer, I would not aspire to free myself from it. I would wander from one unfulfilling goal to the next. More wealth, a better station. My soul would wither. But to search for a place beyond suffering's reach is to nurture the soul, to harden it against the elements. Suffering is the greatest gift the gods have given us, their most beautiful, perfect creation. It is the hand that turns the wheel. I was visiting a monastery not far from here. I found it empty, but I met a messenger as I left. He carried a call for aid. Seeing that he would find no monks at the monastery, I chose to go in their place. Zawa is no longer young, but in combat he is still the greatest of the Takan people. It seemed only right that he should go. I would not say I am hired. I seek no wage, and I promise no result. I have chosen a path, and my spoils come from walking it. And this fortress, this Durgan's battery, its people are gone. Zawa would know why. If one wishes to swim, it is no time to argue with the current. We are here together in this moment because a perfect force has willed it. Who is Zawa to argue? I will walk with you so long as the gods wish it so.
See you when I see you.
Now we can all free ourselves from vanity.
Back to work, everyone. No time for dallying. A fine thing you reached us when you did. They would have burned the fishery next, mark my words. And the last thing this lot needs is another excuse to knock off early. Anyway, excuse the mess. If there's something you need, the clerk can get you sorted. Just watch your step if you have a mind to look around. The floors are slick and none too pleasant to fall on. Been running it 4 decades now. Reckon I can tell you what you want to know. It may stink of fish guts, but there's no place more critical to Stalwart's survival. Herds come and go, so there's seasons when our catch sustains the village. But try telling these folk as much. We go home each day covered to the elbows in fish oil and entrails, reeking of our work. Stalwart's shrinking, but it would disappear if we lost the fishers. I drive them hard, but I can't afford to do otherwise. Just about everything. I track the day's catches and see that our nets and hooks are in working order. My family's been in charge of the fishery since the early days of Stalwart. I know the best spots to find frost diver and iron-toothed pike, and I make sure we don't overfish the speckleback. Need anything else?
Yes.
It's working! Yes! I can't believe it! It's really... Oh. My ore locating divination tool. Well, that's what it will be. I have to calibrate it. Right now it seems to think you're a copper deposit. My Animancer contacts did suggest that a particular strong soul essence might interfere. I'm more interested in minerals in any case. It's actually quite sophisticated, if you'll forgive me a little professional pride. A mix of alchemical processes and scrying enchantments, and some very expensive crystals. I'm trying to recreate the instruments that first led the Pargrun dwarves to this mountain. This is my latest prototype. Centuries ago, dwarves carrying tools just like this one followed their readings to what is now the battery. If I can recreate their work, then I may be able to find ore deposits elsewhere. I was hoping to test it, but my arrival was delayed by word of the ogre attack. I haven't been able to find anyone to venture up the mountain since. Really? That'd be wonderful. I just have to adjust the device, you see. It should point you toward metal deposits. We already know the battery rests on some rich veins, but I was hoping to get a reading of the surrounding mountainside. If you can follow the readings to ore and bring back a sample, I can use it to refine the device. Thanks ever so much for this.
Certainly. Certainly.
Oh. Does everyone else see that Stelgar in the undersized breeches?
Huh, that's what I get for asking directions in the middle of nowhere. Say, I don't suppose you've seen any mysterious old buildings in the mountains lately, have you? No, but I've heard that name a lot around here. I'm looking for the Abbey of the Fallen Moon. It's an obscure temple dedicated to Andra. I'm a gift bearer. My job is to gather tokens of things people want forgotten and surrender them to the Lady of Lament. Best place to do that is the Abbey of the Fallen Moon. Well, you throw some things into the sea and maybe they wash up on shore one day. But you want something really good and forgotten, you take it to the Abbey. Anything that represents a moment or a memory someone wishes to leave behind. Well, love notes, awkward family heirlooms, bad poetry, the kinds of things you want to forget. The Abbey's all about forgetting. Wouldn't be much forgetting if I told you about it, would there? I might be here a while. Half the villagers have never heard of the Abbey, and the ones that have, no one knows where it is. So I'm trying to think of this as an extended holiday in a remote mining village that smells like fish. You won't regret it. I've got a lovely singing voice.
Our paths shall part.
Must be soon. 2 days, no more. Sorry. Didn't hear you come in. My ears aren't what they used to be. I'm Thiersch. I've lived here long enough that Kith have started calling me the Old Hunter. And that's about all I can say for myself. Wasn't the ogres, I can tell you that. Put a few arrows in one of those and they generally have the good sense to back off. But I've been hunting this wolf for near a year now. A man-eater. Cunning, nasty thing. Every time I get close, it just slips away. The beast has already claimed many lives. The first victim was my son, Saldrin. Got the better of me this last time. Distracted me long enough for one of its kin to turn up. Nearly bit me clean in half. I'm a few weeks out from trying again. No ordinary wolf. A monster. This creature is big. And I see the signs it leaves behind. The mess it made to the last couple of hunters and the elk. Doesn't always finish its meals. Damn thing might be sick. Might have a bullet in its jaw. Something. In any case, it needs to be put down. The russet wood out to the west. Seems to have decided the lake is a good place to find prey. Yeah. It's picked off some scattered ogres from time to time. But mostly it's been going after hunters, travelers. Nothing to tell. Near misses, all of them. One time he clambered right up the cliffs to avoid my snares. Another time, he chased a bear into my camp. I nearly had him once. I could hear him below, eating, and I had the gun aimed right for him. Until the wind changed. Charged headlong into the tree to get at me. Nearly knocked me off my perch. And when I righted myself, he was gone. It needs doing. But I warn you, this beast is not to be trifled with. It must make its lair somewhere to the west. If you mean to go there, keep your wits about you. Watch yourself on the mountain. In these lean times, everything looks like prey to something. Coming to your elders for advice, is it? What can I do for you? Tell you it won't be here much longer if things go on as they are. With the mines mines closed, we've lost what put us on the map in the first place. We're losing people every month. Too many mouths to feed and not enough to support them. Even the game's dwindling. I've been lucky. I've hides and horns enough to keep the traders happy, but now the ogres are picking the rest of us off. The moment we started looking into Durgan's battery, it was like we'd kicked a hornet's nest. You made a good showing against that last group. Didn't expect you'd be one of the godlike. But then, if anyone was gonna turn up here at the ass end of nowhere to save our hides... It's been a colder season than usual, and the elk herds aren't faring well. We're stuck fighting with the ogre clans and the wolves over what's left. Not to mention the occasional beast. We've lost a lot of young hunters. It has. We had some hope in the early days that we'd be spared, isolated as we are. That hope died in a hurry. Not everyone's been so unlucky, of course. You'll see a few pampered sprats around. Long hours checking snares and waiting out elk, mostly. Used to hunt some of the big ones. Bear, stelgare. But up here, it comes down to necessity. Which means keeping Stalwart fed, or else keeping it safe. Thing is, the last hunt didn't go so well, as you can see.
Certainly.
What do you suppose that bally thing is?
Me and Sledge are thinking about heading down, joining a caravan over to Dawning.
Dawning? What for? You like your ogres bigger?
We'd have work at least, and I'm damn sick of fish.
They gone? Have those nasty brutes finally left? I heard the ogres outside, tearing down walls and murdering folk. Don't remember how things got this bad. But you're the new adventurer. Renengild's latest volunteer. A real spitfire, she told me. Bet you'd whip those layabouts at the mine into shape. Did you say something, dear? Me? I was the overseer at the mine, back when it was running. Got shut down decades ago when we couldn't sell or ship the stuff. But I still remember plenty about the mining business, and I got as many folk as I can digging out the entrance. Been praying to the salty wench that I don't forget too much afore they finish the job. Got to speak up? My hearing ain't what it was.
Yes.
Back to warm your hands, eh? What can I do for you? Top quality bear pelts on.
What? Oh. Oh, sorry. I must have been dreaming. No, it's nothing. Sorry, I shouldn't have bothered you. You told me about your awakening. I guess I've had a similar problem. There's something I remember from a former life. Happened hundreds of years ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday. Happened while I was fighting in Old Valia 20 years ago. My unit was camped out in the palace we'd just taken. The others were roasting the last of the Marcheso's pigs in the feast hall. So I went to the wine cellars to fetch a few bottles. I don't know how long she'd been hiding there, but there was this old woman. Must have been one of the servants. She had this wild look in her eyes. I approached her and tried to tell her not to be afraid, that she was safe. She screamed and grabbed my arm. It felt like someone had hit me in the back of my head. I blacked out for a few minutes, and when I came to, she was gone. I took a few bottles up with me, feasted with the rest of the troops. But when I went to bunk, I had a dream. Only it was more vivid than any dream I've ever had. I tasted the sweat on my lips, felt the jungle air on my skin, heard the cries. Like when you hear a song you know you've heard before. Anyway, I laid off the drink for several days, but I kept having the dream. After a few weeks, I thought a change of scenery might do me good. Since then, I've been a pirate in the Deadfire, a pilgrim in the White that Wends, an adventurer in the Living Lands, and a gift bearer in a Shawmutl. It's something terrible I did, a long time ago, and as a different person, but I remember it more clearly than anything. I told you I was looking for the Abbey of the Fallen Moon so I could leave something behind. There's a pool there, the Salt Well. It's where gift bearers leave the heaviest burdens. It's said that a person can enter it and leave their own memories behind. That's the plan. At this point, I'd gladly give up all my memories if that's what it takes for peace in this life and the next.
So?
Zawa is ready. My thoughts wander often to the lost builders of this fortress we seek. They were erased from the world. I wonder, was it meant to be so?
So she took a piece into her heart.
After 2 centuries, I would not hold out hope. All things fade, and always sooner than we wish. Zawa is ready. These feuds between Ogre and Kith, I do not see them ending until one is wiped out, or both. The ways of the Nalpazga can make little sense to an outsider. We are the warriors of the Takan. Nobles, peasants, it does not matter. We are souls caged in flesh, nothing more. But it is one thing to say it, another to know it. So we train until we know it, or until we meet our ends. I give this answer because it is what you wanted, but the Nalpazga would say different. They would say that we are nothing at all. Perfection. Look around you. The world is perfect. Every being, every moment, every death. Rarely do we see this. We stumble through life, lost in distractions. Every practice of the Nalpazga is a reminder to stop stumbling, to know the perfection. You think the world imperfect? Most would agree. Most would say the world is imperfect because we suffer. They imagine a world without suffering and dream of living there. This is their mistake. The world is perfect. It was created by a boundless wisdom. It is for us to learn why a perfect world requires that we suffer. Vanity is a snare that roots us to the ground. The way we see ourselves, the way others see us, these things are not real. They cannot be touched. The Nalpazga teachings reveal many such snares. Fear, pleasure, doubt, hatred. They hold us back if we let ourselves be caught. Then you see only what is truly there, and you suffer no longer. You become as a god, seeing things as they do. If you can loose yourself from the snares, then you are free. I meet people on the road, and they pity me. I have come to find it endearing. They see so many scars, and they wonder, how can the man beneath not be broken? A scar is a wound that heals, a living reminder of our power over suffering. They cause no pain, only the echo of pain, which cannot hurt you. Show me a scarred man, and I will show you a man who can overcome. The Malkachoa? At any time, it is rare that I have not eaten some. When you first try it, it seems a beautiful fantasy. You see colors you have never seen, meet creatures that are not there. With practice, you see that all it does is show you reality. the essence of all things, how they are alike and connected. I have watched trees grow and wilt before me. I have tasted meat and known the animal's life as if it were mine. But the Malkachoa often causes the stomach to empty with great violence, so it is not for everyone. If I did not suffer, I would not aspire to free myself from it. I would wander from one unfulfilling goal to the next. More wealth, a better station. My soul would wither. But to search for a place beyond suffering's reach is to nurture the soul, to harden it against the elements. Suffering is the greatest gift the gods have given us, their most beautiful, perfect creation. It is the hand that turns the wheel. I would gladly cast light upon them. You would ask much of one who knows little. Most Takan have two choices. They can grow crops, or they can become Nalpazca warriors. I was the youngest of 5, a dreamer. The Nalpazca were always in my thoughts. They did not feel the same about me. 3 times I tried to join their ranks. 3 times I was refused. All that time spent dreaming, and I had not thought to prepare. I was lazy, uncoordinated, overweight. If they had not refused me, what shame I might have brought to them. They had no choice. Our high priestess had a vision. She saw me as chieftain, leading a host of Nalpazca warriors to victory over our enemies, the Quechmatl. Our last chieftain had died over the winter. A new one had not yet arisen from the Nalpazca. So the timing was right. The next day they brought me before Ishipilo, the great master of the Nalpazca, and I became his pupil. I still trained with the other instructors, sparred and meditated with my Nalpazca brothers and sisters. I learned from all of them. But learning from Ishipilo was a chieftain's privilege. He knew the secrets that could grant mastery over reality, invincibility in combat. When a Nalpazca was deemed a worthy successor to a chieftain, greater than all his peers, Ishipilo would take him in, prepare him for the future. I would not be as I am now without his lessons. Not all of them. A story for another time, perhaps. One thing he did teach me was that the more you talk, the less you hear. And the less you hear, the less you have that is worth saying. Ishipilo is vast. Outsiders think of it as one land and its people as one people. But if you walk across it, you see that there are many Ishimilos. The Ishipilo that Takan know is rich in soil and water. The crops seem to grow in front of you. We build our homes along the Aki River, and it is good to us. Though every so often it floods, so that the Takan do not forget their suffering. It would not be the rainy season without my neighbor Esley swimming after his escaped goats and nearly drowning. But home is an idea, no more real than justice or honor. My home is here now, wherever I stand. I hope to share knowledge with the monks of the 1,000 Dreams. Their monastery lies east of here. They are said to be seekers of greater truth, like the Nalpazca. But if they still exist, I did not find them there.
Certainly. Yes.